Good morning and welcome to Straight Talk Saturday. I'm Angela Atkins and I'm here again with another talk about a topic that seems to have gone controversial again in the on the web, in the news. You see these things about essential oils and their toxicity. Now, I'm going to tell you up front, this is not going to be a list of what is and what isn't toxic for animals, and it's not going to be your go-to resource for finding the oil that you need to use. I'm going to tell you more straight facts, and hopefully we can, one at a time, change this paradigm in our world where we live with fake news and everyone wanting to have their 15 minutes of fame. Good morning, Krister. My goal here today is to help you and me to be educated, savvy consumers. And what we need to do that includes educating ourselves not only on just the products we consume, whether it's food, essential oils, or anything else, but anything that comes into our home that can infect anybody, anything in our home. So for that reason, I picked this topic today because in the news we've heard things about, I used essential oils and it harmed my cat. Well, frankly, anything that you use in your home, if used inappropriately, can cause harm to someone. Can cause harm to your pet, to your child, or to you yourself. So we're going to talk about safety and responsibility and how to make yourself aware and become the right consumer. And so I urge you to, if you're here listening, whether you're live or listening to the recording later, you may not be the one that has this issue, but you may know of someone. And I ask you to pass this on to them because it's really about becoming educated. That's really the whole point here. We need to take the responsibility to educate ourselves before we go out and use things that we may not have the skill set yet or the knowledge and background on how to use them. And because of that, if there are adverse reactions, then we need to understand what it is that caused that and what we need to do to make it better. I certainly do not want to see anyone's pet harmed. One of the reasons why I'm doing this is right behind me. Hi, Dakota. That's one of my dogs. They are a very important part of my life. And because my children are grown, I have no little ones at home. Good morning, Scott. Welcome. Because without children at home, people don't think about how these things affect others in their home. But it's very important to be aware that no matter what you're doing has an effect on every creature in your home. Years ago, many, many years ago, I read the series of book, All Creatures Great and Small, and it had a profound effect upon me. And I love my animals. And over the course of my lifetime, I've had many. And when I was young, I had various kinds. I grew up, we rescued all sorts of animals that were either in the backyard or in a local ravine, I would call it, because we wanted to take care of them. We had turtles and birds, and the only thing I didn't have is snakes. They weren't my thing. But I always had dogs and cats. And as I've gotten older, dogs have become a very important part of my life. So if I choose to share my home with them, then I think as a responsible pet owner. And that's what I think this talk is about this morning, is that we have to be responsible pet owners. So no matter what it is that you're trying to use with your dog or your cat, think in the sense as I do, that this is your responsibility as the pet owner. For me, bringing an animal into your home means you have adopted them, no matter how they came to you, whether you went out and purchased them, whether you go to some facility and rescue them, whether you take a stray into your home, it doesn't matter. You've made that conscious decision to adopt that animal. They are now part of that home. And because of that, you are the pet owner. You are the one responsible. The pet has has to be cared for. They cannot care for themselves. They're not in the wild any longer. And hopefully, if they're a domesticated animal, you don't want them in the wild. They don't have the skill set to be a wild animal. They are being treated as part of a family when I have them. You may not treat them as part of your family, but you have to treat them with the respect they deserve if you bring them into your home. I would just stop for a second and say good morning to Joyce. Glad to have you here. I too love dogs and cats. I love all animals. I just can't believe the things that I have read, and I've had to speak out about it. Good morning, Jody. Glad to have you with us too. Here's my point. You bring these animals into your home. You've made the conscious decision to adopt them. Whether you consider that adoption or not, it truly is. They are your responsibility. So because of that, no matter what you use with them, whether it's food, essential oils, medications, it doesn't matter what it is, you have to be the one to do the research and make certain that you're making a responsible choice. Animals require that from us. We should not have them in our homes. I am absolutely adamant about this. If you are not going to be a responsible pet owner, don't get them in your home. They deserve that respect. They are God's creatures. They are, to me, as important as any other creature that I bring into my home. When my children were little, I made certain that they learned to respect the animals. They cared for them. They learned to feed them, walk them, all the things that were important to care for the animal. And I think as responsible pet owners, we need to do that ourselves, and we need to teach that to the next generation. So for that reason, when it comes to essential oils, you need to be a savvy consumer. You can't just go out there and say, oh, this smells pretty, or it's in a pretty bottle, or the price is right. Because whatever the reason is, if it's not the right reason, it can cause a problem. So the short answer is, can essential oils be toxic to animals? The answer is yes, it's possible. And now I don't want that to be a soundbite that somebody cuts out and says, oh, she says they can be toxic to animals. They can be if used inappropriately and you don't respect the metabolism and digestive system of an animal. They are not human. They metabolize essential oils differently than we do. And for that reason, I encourage you to find a trusted resource. I'm not a veterinarian. I'm a pet owner, but I have very strong opinions and very profoundly heartfelt reasons for keeping my animals safe and well and doing the right thing for them. So I encourage you to find a trusted resource. One example is Dr. Janet Rourke. She's a veterinarian that uses essential oils with her animals. Use her as a resource. She's going to give you sound information. For me, what I say is before you go on a purchase of any essential oils, make sure you understand where they came from. Not all oils are sourced the same. You want to find an oil that is pure. You want to find an oil that has not been adulterated with anything, whether it is another natural product or a synthetic product, because once you have adulterated it, meaning you have changed the chemical composition of that oil, you are not getting the same benefits as if you were using a pure oil. And for that reason, I say, look to find the oils that are made the purest. You all know that I'm a doTERRA person. I'm going to say doTERRA is the purest is around. You may not be a doTERRA person and you may use other oils. I encourage you to do the same things that I did. I didn't run to doTERRA. I actually came cautiously. I wanted to make sure that it had exactly what I thought it needed. I believe in the science behind them. I know that they're making them pure without any adulteration. They are not going to contaminate anything in my home. And therefore, I feel safe to use the ones that are appropriate for my pet. Now, before I use any essential oil or any other product for that matter, I'm going to make sure I understand the reasonable uses for them. So in an essential oil, you're going to find out, what is this oil meant to do? It's not, does it smell pretty, which is certainly okay. But if you're going to do things like diffuse it in a home where you have cats and dogs or maybe other animals, you have to take the responsibility for seeing, will this oil metabolize correctly in my pet? If they inhale it, if they ingest it. And if so, what is the reasonable amount to use? Now, some of the things that get me fired up is when I read an article that says, oh, well, I just put 20 drops in a diffuser and all of a sudden my cat got sick. Well, that's not reasonable use. You need to think things through. If you are going to be a pet owner, and I cannot say this more strongly than I'm saying it, you need to be responsible for that pet. If you are not responsible, if you don't want to take on that responsibility for their care and well-being, Dakota just left because she saw me getting adamant about something, and usually my voice goes up and she's like, I'm out of here. But if you are not going to take that responsibility, then don't get a pet. I encourage you, don't do it. It's not the responsible thing. We need to stop thrusting things off on manufacturers and companies that we say, oh, well, I used their product and it didn't work. It made my animal sick. Well, did you, as the consumer, take the time to read the ingredients, to go to the website, to see how it's made? You can see how they're sourced at doTERRA. I don't have to guess. They're telling me these are all the tests that are run to you. You can do it yourself. Go to sourcetoyou.com. They're going to show you what that, on that bottle, it's got a lot number. Find out what that oil has in it, how it's been tested. Is it pure? If it is, then that's the first step. The second step is find the resource that's going to tell you, is this oil safe for my pet? As I said, there's plenty of veterinarians out there that use aromatherapy with pets, that use it topically with pets. Use them as a positive resource. Just because somebody has a blog and decided to write something about an essential oil doesn't make it fact. I am so frustrated with fake news and all these sensationalism just to get that moment in the sun. Our point is, make it your responsibility. I've made it my responsibility. If I bring something in my home, it has to be safe for everyone here. That includes my husband, myself, my dogs, my children, my grandchildren. It doesn't matter who comes in my home, my friends. I want it safe for them. If I'm inviting somebody over for dinner, I'm not going to serve them a meal of processed chemicals. It's just not me. And that's the same way I feel about our pets. We can't just serve them processed things. There have for years have been thoughts, don't feed your dog scraps from the table. And you know why? My feeling is because we as humans have been eating crap food, that the things that are not good for us, the processed meals that are full of chemicals, well, our dogs can't metabolize them. So why are we eating them? God only knows. We shouldn't give them to our dogs, and that's why for years pets have recommended these formulated foods for them. But the more you get involved with looking at what's behind them, they're manufactured foods too. So I don't encourage that either. My dogs eat the way I do. Yeah, they're not going to get exactly the same meals, and I don't, I'm not cooking high class fancy meals for my dogs. They're getting basics. They're getting good protein. They're getting vegetables. They're eating well, healthy fats. As you may know, I have a dog that just went through pancreatitis. It was a learning process for me as a health coach. Here I'm feeding my dog healthy fats, not realizing this particular dog had a special need. And I take that responsibility on myself. I didn't do enough research on this particular animal. Now I know. She can't eat the same way as the other one. So Hannah gets her food particularly set for her. And Dakota, well, she's a husky. She can eat more fats. She needs that. So I've learned, and that to me is the responsibility of a pet owner. You do what is necessary for your animals, the same way you do what is necessary for your children. Okay, I've ranted. Let me just say hi to a few people. I want to go back and make sure I haven't missed anybody. I want to say, let's see. Oh, hi, Fred. Thanks for joining. Oh, thank you, Joyce, for sharing this. I think it's really important that we learn again what is necessary to take care of our pets. It's not just having them in their home. It's not just giving them a place to sleep and a couple nibbles to eat. Hi, Steve. Who else is here? Oh, hi, Ed. I'm glad so many people have joined me this morning. This is so important to me. Good morning, Cheryl. Good to see you again. Let me go back to essential oils. This is where I started. So my goal is to help you understand that there are specific oils that can cause toxicity. Please go to those veterinary sites that are going to list them. And I offer you Dr. Janet Rourke as a resource. She uses doTERRA oils. I trust her information. There are others out there. What I encourage you is to be wise. You want your pets, if you love them like I love mine, you want your pets around for a very long time. So I encourage you, everything you put on their bodies or in their bodies is going to have an effect. So if you feed them regular commercial dog food, it might be time to start looking at that and saying, what really goes into making this? It's a lot of processed crap. I hate to tell you that. It may be cheap, but then you get what you're paying for. You have to step up as a pet owner, as somebody who's taking another life. Even though it's not a human life, it is still a life. It is a creature of God as I see it. You must respect that. Put the effort behind it. It's only going to take research once or twice, unless you change something. What is going to be the best for them? If you're using essential oils, make certain you're getting pure oils. Make sure you're diffusing or using them topically at an appropriate ratio for that animal. The smaller the animal, the less they need. You can't have a tiny dog, 10 pounds, sitting next to a diffuser that's got many, many drops of a particular oil that may not be helpful for them. You need to do the research. You need to be responsible. I'm using the word you, and I'm including me in there. As I said, I've learned along the way that there are things you have to do if you are going to be responsible. If you find that it becomes onerous to you, that you can't really regulate what happens with the pet around, then only use your essential oils in an area that the pet is not exposed to. If the pet doesn't sleep in your bedroom, you can diffuse them there. If you want to diffuse or have something at a particular get together, maybe the pet can go into another room so they're not affected by it. But remember, these oils do have a life where they do live in the air for a while. So be aware. The same way that you wouldn't go around spraying those harsh chemical sprays in the air just willy-nilly, or at least I hope you wouldn't when your pet is around. I hope you're not spraying the fabric of your couch or something with one of those commercial products that say, removes bacteria from the air. And oh my God, they have chemicals in it. Your animal is going to metabolize them the same way. They're going to take them into their system. And if they're harmful, that's going to cause harm. So you can't blame it just on something you're using inappropriately, meaning you put too many drops of oil in a diffuser, if you're using other things in the home, because it could be any combination of those things that can cause an issue. So being a responsible pet owner means you need to learn the facts. Go to the site, research the oils, research what the vet says about which oils are not appropriate for any pets, whether it's a cat, a dog, a bird, whatever. It doesn't matter. You as the pet owner have adopted this animal to come into your home. Acting responsible means you take on the responsibility to go out and determine, is this safe for my animal? And I encourage you, if it's not something you're willing to do, if it's not something you're willing to put the extra time in, then I ask you, find a safe home for that animal. And I do that out of the love I have for all creatures. It's not that I'm telling you you're being a bad person. I am not. What I'm saying is, If it's not something you can do responsibly, then please don't take it on. It is for your benefit, because for me, losing an animal to something that I could have controlled just would upset me beyond compare. I know, I can't tell you how many times I have beat myself up about feeding my dog the wrong thing that she got to me that triggered this pancreatitis. And I know, I've done my research. I gave my dog ghee. It had way too many grams of fat per unit that she received, and it triggered this response. Now, obviously, there were a lot more things than just one ingredient, but I kind of backtracked and dissembled this so I could understand what I've done, and I won't do it again because now I understand. And that's what I'm saying. Let's not wait until our animals get sick. Let's not wait until we do something. Let's not hear some story on the news or read something on the internet, because frankly, people get these articles or these blogs or these news stories, and our attention span is so short these days. I believe it's 8 seconds. So we're reading the title and maybe the first sentence, and we think, oh my God, essential oils are toxic to my pets. No, stop. Think. Either read the whole thing through and find out the true facts, or search for yourself. The facts are essential oils can be very beneficial to pets. I know for myself, on my dogs, I give them a massage with certain essential oils. My older dog, I give her one that helps with her joints. She needs to have a little more muscle movement as she gets older. And I just find they help relax them. It's the touch from the human owner to the pet, which transfers your love and energy. And 2, you're giving them the benefit of the components of that particular oil, which again, I have researched to make sure it is safe for my pet. And I use it in the amount that is appropriate. I too use sites like Dr. Roark's to find out whether or not this is appropriate for my pet. I use doTERRA's site to make certain this is appropriate. And I'm proud to say that doTERRA has taken the responsibility of adding in this year, they have a veterinary board of advisors. How awesome is that? Because pets are such a huge part of my life, I'm glad that doTERRA recognizes how important they are. They've come out with different lines of products. I mean, this year they came out with a children's touch oil kit, which I think is fantastic. I plan on using it with my grandchildren, but they don't live here. So I don't have it on a day-to-day basis. It will be here for them. But I have my pets here every single day. And so every single day, I'm going to make sure they get the right food to eat, that they're not getting chemical processed food. They're not getting the wrong food for what they need, how they metabolize. Hannah will no longer be eating high-fat foods. Dakota will be eating what she needs also, because her needs are different than Hannah's. The same way you would do for someone in your home that had a particular condition or a particular sensitivity, you would adjust to that. You wouldn't expect them just to eat what you eat simply because that's what you're cooking. At least I hope you wouldn't. In my home, my husband respects the fact that I can't have gluten. And so we don't eat products that are made with that. And because of that, my husband eats pretty similarly to what I do. And so it makes it easier. And that's what I say about essential oils. We all use essential oils in my home. My husband uses them differently than I do because he uses them in a way that works for him. Now, he has taken the time to learn, mostly from me because I'm the one doing the research, but at least he listens and he follows through, and he's not going to use them inappropriately. He will use them with our pets the same way as I will. We'll make sure that we use only the amount of drops that are appropriate for the size of the animal. We won't diffuse anything that they could inhale and cause any harm in them. We won't give them any in their food or in a gel cap that they couldn't metabolize, because we are responsible pet owners. We love our pets. We're not going to do them harm. The same way we're not going to do any person who comes in our house harm. So if someone were to come in my home and had an allergy to a particular plant, and I'm diffusing an essential oil that is based on that plant and it's going to cause a reaction, I will stop that. I will respect that that's their need. But what I'm encouraging you today is to take this message. If you're listening to me, I think you're more like me. You want to do the right thing by your pet. You want to do the right thing that keeps them healthy. So don't listen to the sound bites and the people who want the 15 minutes of fame and have gone out there and said, you know, essential oils are harming my cat, or whatever it is that the article is, or the news of the day. Take the time. It doesn't take long. I mean, how many of us are on the web every single day? Go to those reputable sites. Look up what is good for your animal and what is harmful for your animal. Use them appropriately. I encourage you to use them. I have seen a complete difference in my dog since I've used essential oils. A recent post I did was through Hannah's process of getting well from her pancreatitis. We noticed she was sluggish and wasn't really responding. Now, there were different things going on. She had a vitamin deficiency, so she's getting B12 shots. That, again, is something you need to look into. If you are giving your animal some sort of medication, make sure you're using the highest quality and the least amount necessary. You don't want to overdo anything. Always ask a responsible authority, is this the appropriate amount? Is there an alternative? For me, an alternative to medication is the first choice I'm going to take. So for me, vitamins are better than giving her some other medication that may do harm to her. She's a very sensitive dog. And so because of that, I looked for an essential oil blend that was going to help her with many of her issues. Hannah's a very sensitive dog. She's very excitable. Noises cause her distraction. So we tried to find something that was going to be appropriate for her. I researched it. The oils in Serenity Blend seemed to work for her. 1 drop, and I massage it into her. And I've noticed it helps her relax. It's also made her a little more active because she's not so nervous. She's not so sketchy about things. But I wouldn't have done it if I hadn't researched it first, if I hadn't proved to myself that these are not going to be harmful. So the bottom line today, if you know of someone who may need this information, I do please ask you to share it with them. It is going to be extremely important that they understand just because it's on the internet, just because it's in the news, doesn't mean it's real, doesn't mean it's right. It means that somebody decide to make some sort of salacious comment that's going to get them the fame or the 15 minutes of fame that they want, or it's going to get them, hits or generate some talk and make them viral. That's the thing today. We all want to go viral and make this big splash. That's not my point. My point is it's more important to be responsible. Make yourself accountable for everything in your home, for your family, for your pets. If I think it's going to be harmful, it's not coming in my house. Or if it's going to be harmful, but it's useful for somebody else, it's going to be used on that limited basis. Educate yourself. Take the responsibility it needs to be a good pet owner. Feed them high quality food, the best you can within your budget. They are worth it. They give you unconditional love. They are there at your behest. You invited them in. So you are the adoptive parent. You take that responsibility. You take it seriously. If you're going to administer medication, make sure you know the right dosage for the right length of time that is going to metabolize properly in that pet. Don't assume if it's safe for you, it's safe for them, because it isn't. Humans and animals metabolize things differently. And if you're going to use an essential oil, make sure it is pure. Make sure you can verify where it comes from. Make sure you know everything you need to know about it before you put it on or in your pet. Because what is going to happen is your responsibility. Whether they thrive or not is going to be your job. So I encourage you, please use only certified pure therapeutic grade essential oils. That's not a plug for a sale. That is a plug for responsibility. That is important to me. I could not use something on my dogs that I thought caused harm. As I said in my blogs about Hannah, I am still tremendously upset that I allowed my vet to give her an anti-seizure medication, it caused harm. It actually affected her back legs. And to this day, I have trouble forgiving myself for falling trapped into the trap of listening to somebody who is strictly a medical veterinary doctor. That's his job. He was doing his job, but I know better. I know that I have to research what is right for my dog. That was not right. It was not getting to the root cause of her problem. Her problem was not seizures. Her problem was pancreatitis. It's now incumbent upon you, if you're going to use essential oils, to make sure you don't inflict something on your dog or your cat or whatever animal you have without researching what is right for them. And so I say today, before you use anything, take a minute, go to doTERRA's website, look up the science. They have a blog on all of the different oils. Go to Dr. Roark's site, look what oils are going to be positive, have a positive effect on your animal. And don't use the oils that aren't. Because you like them may not be the responsible thing for you to use on your pet. And so thank you for joining me. Thank you for putting up with my rant about people being irresponsible. I am truly a pet lover, and I hope to always be a pet owner. And because of that, I will always use essential oils and all of the other things that I have in my arsenal responsibly on my pets. And so before I put anything on or in them, they'll be researched. I'll be validating everything before I give it to them. And I encourage you to do the same. And again, I encourage you to share this with others so they will do the same too. We want to get rid of those fake news type things and start going down the path of personal responsibility. Ownership of our pets means we are responsible for their lives, for their safety, for their well-being. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next week.